Descent into Darkness, a Call of Cthulhu campaign. Hello, and welcome back to Deathwatch's Call of Cthulhu campaign, Descent into Darkness, Season 3. This is Episode 8, and I am Travis. I will be your keeper today. Last time, we had a little bit of an incident. Before we return to that, let's get an introduction from our investigators.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm playing Detective Jack Glover, currently on suspension, and it's looking like it's going to be a longer suspension. I got some crimes to cover up.
I'm Brandon. I'm playing Dr. Andrews, and I know nothing of what they're talking about.
Yeah, unbeknownst to Dr. Andrews, everybody else has gone off the rails, just like they did last season, killing people and stuff. And you're like, how do we figure out how to conquer this djinn? All right, sorry.
I'm Justin, playing Lance Monroe, and yeah, I had a little bit of a mental hiccup last game.
It's all your fault.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's all of our fault for bringing Larkin back into the picture.
And I'm John, playing James Whitmire, who's also playing Lance Monroe. And we had a mental hiccup last session.
Man, that should have been how we introduced ourselves.
I am Lance Monroe. All right, so yeah, we'll pick up with Whitmire. You're still at the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight, and you've been given a directive from Dr. Andrews to locate a body fresh enough that you can harvest the cerebrospinal fluid, or maybe even the cerebrospinal fluid itself.
Yeah,
now,
that was the impression I got, was I don't need to just bring him the body.
Yeah, body could be easier to obtain, though.
Especially in this town.
After all, bodies everywhere, and cerebrospinal fluid on its own would be maybe at specific places. But, yeah, so you can see, you guys are up in the library. Dr. Call had clapped Dr. Andrews on the shoulder and said, shall we go downstairs and have a few drinks? And he includes you in that, if you wish, Whitmire. What say you?
I don't drink, but you two should definitely go ahead, as I'll get to work on getting this fluid that we need.
Ah, yes, the cerebrospinal fluid. Ghastly task for you, Whitmire. But I wish you the best of luck. Andrews and I will drink your share, you can be assured.
Good man. Because I'll need these encyclopedias, too. But no, I'll take my leave of them and head out to... Can I do like a luck roll to determine if I have had any recent business with any colleges, like medical colleges, in the supplying of bodies and any of my various rackets?
Not in Boston for a while, but you do have connections still, like sort of old or latent connections back when you used to run here, and they were in all sorts of things. Because after all, black market organ legging type of things still does happen. So you could connect with your old crew that you worked with, Drew's crew.
Yeah. You
could get in touch with them and see if they have any line on it. Last time you asked them about rare books, and so now you'll be coming in for bodies. Well, that's quite a shift.
My hope here is that if there was a college that I had dealings with, then I would basically the next opportunity would be in exchange, or rather than exchanging money for the body, I would exchange it for a body for the fluid that could come out of it.
Well, you did meet a couple of professors, although they weren't in the medical field, a few months ago, whose names escape me. But you met them in the course of your investigation into Charlie Murphy's accusations. So, you did know those guys. They're acquaintances at least now, although you didn't leave on the best of terms when a interdimensional being came and trashed their radio room, but...
It's true. No, I can connect with Drew's crew and see if I can still work the same angle to try and get the fluid in exchange for help securing the body.
Okay. All right, so Drew and his merry bunch are usually hanging out around the basement. It's just the name of their gin joint, which isn't really correct to call it that. It's more of just like a private club, although they do let people in the neighborhood come in there, but they don't usually have jazz going. It's usually just cards and whatever baseball game is playing on the radio. But you've been there a couple of times recently, so you know right where to go. It's more towards South Boston, where things get a little bit more industrial and low rent. But it's just the basement level of like a building there that he has occupied.
Okay.
And you see like the familiar Joe Johnson, big guy with a Little Rascals hat on his head, standing at the bottom of those steps, looking up at you.
This is all, I'll go to the top of the steps or walk up to start heading downstairs and say, how's it going, Joe? Been a little while.
Yeah, Jimmy, good to see you again. Going in?
I was going in. I'll give him a handshake or a pat on the shoulder as I go by to show my friendliness.
Yeah. He lets down his guard a little bit and gives you a smile, kind of a dopey smile, because he's not the smartest one on Drew's crew. All he's good for is working the door, and that's maybe because he just physically blocks the entryway. So when you have to sidle by him, he stands up flat against the wall, but he's got a great big belly, and you got to brush by him. But soon enough, you're in the basement itself, where you see Drew, the leader of Drew's crew, sitting around playing cards and drinking at a table. It's a quiet night, it's a Sunday night. Even respectable criminals take a break every now and then. So yeah, he's sitting there, doesn't even really acknowledge you coming in, maybe doesn't notice, but you're in there seeing a few guys around the table playing cards.
Yeah, if there's any room, I'll go sit at the table. If not, then I'll sit adjacent and watch the game for a little while.
Yeah, you can approach the table if you want and join in.
Yeah, I'll throw down some a little bit of cash if that's what they're actually playing with.
Yeah. It's like, oh boys, Jimmy's here. You better play smart.
Oh no.
How you doing?
Doing good, Drew. It's been a little while. Finally have some time to blow off some steam.
Yeah, so they deal you in after they're just playing, Texas Hold'em style poker. They deal you in after they finish up that hand, and you go a few rounds, and you kind of think you're picking up something a little odd. So your sixth sense is tingling a bit, but why don't you give me a psychology roll?
A luck roll to see how he's doing.
Yeah, you could do a luck roll too. See if you make a few extra bucks in those hands you play.
No. I was gonna say I was if we were doing that, I was gonna just try and intentionally lose though.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good
I don't want
news.
to come in and ask for a favor and take their money. Oh, no psychology for me.
Yeah, so you're just kind of focused on warming up to trying to ask what you're going to ask and get that all figured out. And you're also losing money intentionally or otherwise. You're not actually getting very good hands. And one of those guys on Drew's crew is a mechanic with the cards. So
yeah, it's probably him.
Yeah,
that's what I'll chalk it up to. Is either that
right.
or I'm just really good at making sure I don't win.
Yeah, so you've played a few hands, you kind of eased back into it. They're kind of chatting just about the goings on in Boston lately. And but at one point, one of Drew's crew looks at you and he says, "Hey, Drew, maybe we should bring Jimmy in on a gig we got coming up. If he's interested, our lock guy broke his hand boxing, so we need somebody to open doors for us, clear the way."
Yeah, it definitely piques my interest. Ask him, what do you guys got cooking here?
Well, they got a bunch of hooch sitting down at the docks. It's just sitting there because there's a little more eyes than normal, and the person who owns it is just having it sit there. He's not going to move it while he's being watched. But we know all the back roads, so all we got to do is go pick it up, and it's nobody that we have to concern ourselves, as far as reprisal goes. So we just need you to open some doors, and we'll do all the heavy lifting.
Definitely miss the worry-free environment of just opening the doors. 'Cause I'm in on that.
All
It
the
sounds
doors
like
are
some
highly
fun.
reflective.
Yeah, as long as there's no glass, I'm good.
Yeah, this is Lonnie who's kind of pitching it to you. He mostly is kind of like the enforcer of the group. But Drew stands up of a sudden and he's like, where are my manners? I forgot to offer you a drink. Jimmy, what are you drinking tonight?
As I don't know of any non-alcohol drinks. Just like a Coke or something. They got Coke, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so he goes behind the bar and he fetches you a bottle and he brings it out with a napkin on the bottom so you don't mess up their nice table you're playing on. But give me a spot hidden when he sets it down.
I see the cerebral fluid floating around inside.
Mhm. So that's what they were putting in the Coke back then.
Yep.
All right, so you see it was just a plain cocktail napkin, but you see on the underside of it, the one that's on the table that you can't see once he sets it down there, you saw writing on it for a moment, and it was kind of like he held up one corner of it to get your attention, on the down low. But then he goes back to his spot and it's your turn to deal.
All right. I will deal the round, and after supplying the cards, go to take a drink and lift the napkin with it, and kind of use my thumb on that side of the glass there to hold it up to see what it is as I'm bringing it up to take a drink and putting it back to the table.
Yeah, so it says numbers on your head.
That's right. That's why I left the underground. All right.
When you see that, though, you kind of are noticing something that you missed with your psychology roll, but now that it raises your alert level, you see some of Drew's guys looking at you like a mark, right?
Yeah.
And now that one guy, Lonnie, who was pitching you opening a locks for him, the way he's looking at you is a little off in your estimation.
All right. Well, only one thing left to do.
Bust out that 38 and start blasting.
Back in New York.
I was going to say, after this hand, I'll say that's it for me for tonight. But, hey, Drew, I've got another little piece of business. Is something on the side. You mind if get a minute?
Give me a psychology roll. Yeah, he gives you a look like, I do mind. But you missed it, right? So he's just like, well, anything you can, you want to pitch to me, my guys can hear it too.
All right. Well, I need this body, see, and I'll pull out my 38 then and blast Lonnie in the face. So, combat?
No, I don't think you have your 38. You left it in New York, as far as I recall.
Then I'll
you ditched it because of the curse.
I do have that, I guess, the 1911
right.
that I would replace it with, though. So luck roll to see if I've got the 1911 from, what was his name? The soldier disfigured.
Nicholas
yeah.
Saucedo.
Saucedo's.
Sure. I mean, would you...
Are you really going to start blasting?
I mean, so I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you ditched your gun because of the supposed curse you were worried about on a book, so to have another one would kind of defeat the purpose of ditching that one. So you left it. It's here in Boston, wherever you're staying, you know, under your pillow or
Probably not under the pillow if he's...
Actually, the canon place to put it for that particular one, since it glows, is your nightlight, so it's just on the, the bedside table. Yeah. So yeah, you don't have it on you. I mean, you could, if you want, have a knife, you know.
Well,
Straight razor. He's a hood.
all right, then I'll just instead tell him that I'm in the market for a body.
Yeah, some of the guys look at you askance. You know, they're like, "What do you need a body for, Whitmire?"
As,
Business and pleasure.
Step around out back, and I'll show you. Yeah, just a little piece of business, right? As you guys know how it goes. You play every angle.
Well, we didn't work the body business, but you're right. We know the guys who do. And Lonnie pipes in and he's like, "Yeah, we'll put them in touch. You help us out with these entryways we need to get through, and we'll put you in touch with the guys that run the organ trade."
All right. As that sounds like a deal.
You free tonight?
As I'm not free tonight. No, as this was supposed to be a pretty quick visit. But
What about tomorrow?
As I will be free on Tuesday night. As you give me a time and a place, and I'll be there.
All right. So yeah, you don't. You see kind of a shared look from a few of Drew's members. You know, like they're sort of calculating if that will work for them, and they're like, "All right, Tuesday night, that will work. We'll do the job. We'll give you the names of the guys we know. Everybody is happy."
It's as always, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I'll kind of tip my Coke and finish it off and take the napkin and put it in my pocket.
Okay. Yeah, you leave without, or you're able to leave without any sort of challenge. I mean, when you cast a glance back, you see Drew looking at you. He's got a worried expression that he wipes off his face pretty quick, but then you're outside, free for now, and we'll pause you there and move over to Dr. Andrews, who is being tugged towards the bar by a persistent Dr. Call to have drinks, but you don't actually have to do that. What did you want to do with your night, Andrews?
Yeah, what time it is?
It was, I think we'll say 6:30, right? You guys had met after a day of doing some research in the evening. So yeah, we'll put it at 6:30. So you got a few hours of daylight left.
Okay, so yeah, I'll be like, Dr. Call, I'll have one drink with you, but then I have to leave.
Oh.
Yeah, I need to get home. I have a lot of studying to do.
Okay. Yes. Well, yeah. Same. We have to.
And
get
plus,
to work.
I intended to read some more of your friend's medical journal this evening as well. So
one drink it is then, Dr. Andrews.
Okay.
And he makes some small talk with you on the way down to the bar. When you go down there, there's a couple other members sitting in there that you have not been introduced to, but one you saw was added to the order on the same night that you and Mr. Monroe rose in rank. So when you went from neophyte to initiate, he was inducted into the order. But never fear, because Dr. Call makes it his business to make everybody else's business his business. And he's like, "Oh, let me introduce you. This is Gregory Bernhauer. He's one of our newest. I believe you were there the night he came in, if I'm not mistaken." And Gregory inclines his head. The other fellow, this is Raul Dawson. This is a black guy, and he actually looks like he's dressed like the Monopoly man, right?
Okay.
Now, you've seen him around, and you've heard like he's struck it rich on oil on his property, right? And that's where his money comes from. But you've never really talked to him. So yeah, and he kind of tips his hat to you. Or I suppose he wouldn't have it on, manners being what they are and all, but, you know, he inclines his head. And that Gregory, he speaks with a German accent when he talks, you know. And he says, "Yes, I'm an engineer." You guys are like, "What do you do? What do you do?" He says he's an engineer here. And You guys have your drink, though.
Okay.
You sure I can't entice you into another Dr. Andrews?
So, what was that guy's name again?
The German engineer's name is Gregory Bernhauer, and the black fellow dressed like the Monopoly man is Raul Dawson.
Raul?
Yeah, Raul.
Okay.
And he kind of describes that he's usually at the New York Lodge Hall. That's his normal stomping grounds. But he was down here on business.
So both of them are new members?
No, the other one is he's been here longer than you guys have.
Okay.
Because he first got into the Knights, or sorry, not the Knights, but the the Hermetic Order back in the New York chapter, which opened years prior to the Boston one.
All right. Yeah. So then I'll have my drink and I'll make small talk with them. Probably mostly with Bernhauer, the engineer.
Yeah. Well, he is the more talkative of the two. Dawson is a bit standoffish, you would say. He mostly just watches, but, Bernhauer's like, I think it's wonderful that,
Yeah.
the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight welcomes immigrants such as myself. Most societies are so intolerant.
I would imagine, especially German immigrants.
Yes. And usually when people found that I worked in munitions factory during the war, they're not too pleased with me, but one must make a living.
True enough. Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you, gentlemen. I'll shake both of their hands. And then Dr. Call, I appreciate the drink, but I do have a lot of work to get to.
So you never fully answered if we're going to head out there tomorrow. So, I need to know what I should put together.
Yes, we will be heading out there tomorrow.
Oh.
And you're welcome to come along.
Oh.
It's going to be dangerous.
He's momentarily surprised. He's like, well, I will be there. Where are we to meet? The Cafe of Destiny, O'Lafferty's?
O'Lafferty's, yes.
Then I shall be there, because no man can deny destiny.
No man can deny Lafferty's.
I would recommend you bring a medical bag.
Of course.
Just in case. And a weapon might be in order.
A weapon? I've never, in all my years, thought to buy one.
It is an odd life we found ourselves thrust into.
I'm afraid I don't know where to begin. What was your recommendation? This is where you should suspend Dr. Andrews and just go with your love of guns and really line something.
Now what you really want is a shotgun. It's got a good spread.
I was thinking, or I was wondering if we know enough, would unalloyed weapons, like an iron weapon, be better? Or
yeah, I mean, we did read about some of that.
Yeah,
I know for magic casting.
That's not the first time you've come across that. At least Monroe knows that was required for the dimensional shambler.
I guess even an iron weapon wouldn't technically be unalloyed, right?
Yeah, so what would be unalloyed? What's an unalloyed metal?
Well, it can be...
Or is iron unalloyed?
Like silver? Just
iron's
something
just
pure
iron.
silver?
Steel's the alloy. Yeah, silver, or I think copper. You could do copper, yeah. Is that what you recommend to him? Bring a gold dagger.
Might as well, right? Though I think silver would probably be cheaper and more functional.
Lead is a pure metal, right?
Right.
So I'll just tell him a shotgun with bird shot.
Unjacketed bullets.
A shotgun with bird shot, because there also might be some pests on the property. It is up in the, out in the country. So it could be just as easy to say we're going to do some bird hunting.
Well, I will procure.
And you can get a shotgun right out of the Sears and Roebuck.
He's going to bring one of those double barrel, for the time, several $1,000 gun or something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's rich. Yeah.
Somebody's got to find the quad gun anyways, but it'll be Dr. Call. I found this.
So that's what I recommend. A weapon, your medical bag, and something to write on and with, and good sturdy boots.
Okay.
Fortitude.
Well,
constitutional fortitude.
Good evening, Dr. Andrews. I shall see you tomorrow.
Wink, nod.
Yeah. You may not, because I am cursed due to the possession of a book, and I might die.
Also,
But then I'll leave.
These parting words, you cannot now leave when you say such a thing. Sorry, Chris, what was it?
Oh, I was just saying that you should also reveal his hand.
What do you think of this?
Fascinating. May I touch it? Perhaps rub my cheek against it?
So rather than go home from there, I want to go to a church.
Okay. Just back to the church that you attend your mass at?
Yeah, I'd like to do confession and then maybe see if I can talk to the priest about the curse, and if there's anything in my newfound faith that could protect me against things like that.
All right. Yeah. So it's Father Singleton. He runs the church there, and he takes your confession. What sins do you have to confess, by the way?
Oh, where do we start? I mean,
Consorting with demonic entities, perhaps?
well, have I done any of that lately since my last confession? I guess now I would have to confess to sorcery for slowing down time.
Are you perhaps possessed?
I
don't feel possessed.
I don't feel like I'm possessed.
Yeah.
But I would have to confess to that, and then I would confess to, breaking the law.
Right. Well, he after you go through your list and given the strange nature of it, after he gives you your absolution and your 10 Hail Marys and 10 Our Fathers or whatever,
Yeah.
and you get out, he has a very curious look on his face, so he's kind of primed up to hear what else you're going to ask him about. But yeah. So I was like, what are you into, Dr. Andrews?
I'll tell him 100% the whole truth, like the whole truth.
Demonic lizard people are attempting to change the climate to better themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. I'll tell him the whole truth.
You're the only one that's standing between them.
Well, specifically regarding this particular case.
Okay.
About the djinn. I'll even mention my hand, and I'll tell him the whole truth. I'll probably leave out other names, though. I'll just be like my associates.
Right.
This is your burden.
But yeah.
Your sin.
Well, I need a minute to process that, Dr.
I
Andrews.
suspected you might.
Is a persuasion or a charm in order?
This is a little... Yeah, let's try that. Because you have persuade.
Yeah.
Given all of the confession and your beginning discussion, that will give you enough time to work persuade, so we'll see how the Father Singleton takes it.
All right, let me see it here. Success.
Okay. Yeah, so this kind of, your sincerity sort of catches him off guard, and he's kind of giving you an incredulous look at first when you're kind of describing it, but then he thinks for a moment, and he's like, well, in seminary, we did spend time on exorcisms and things of that nature. So I suppose I can't just write it off as some sort of delusion on your part. But I have to caution you, the way you describe this sort of sounds outside of God's creation. It doesn't seem like you're talking about demons and whatnot, but you should probably begin to think of them that way. Because that could just be one of the many ways that they're trying to fool you. But why are you concerned with it? What has compelled you to not just remove yourself from that?
So I'll just sit there and look at him in stunned silence, as I haven't actually considered that. Like my character hasn't actually considered that.
Right.
Like it just sort of started, and then I wanted to. So what I'll say is I just sort of fell into it. And things started happening that none of my education or experience had prepared me for. And then in order to maintain some semblance of sanity, I felt my only option was to learn more about it, to peel back the mystery, to reduce it to a recipe or a equation that could be understood. And if understood, then it wouldn't be so frightening. I haven't been doing this for long, but I can say so far, no question, no answer has brought, every answer I've found has only brought more questions.
That is,
but I do feel like my associates and I did save some portion of humanity from great tragedy.
And Charlie Murphy.
And then there was a young boy who was facing a fate he did not deserve. So I feel like I am doing some good, or I have the potential to do some good that others wouldn't even know to do.
Well, then perhaps God has called you to do that, but I would caution that you not lose sight of God the Father in all this, because the way you've spoke about it, the way my read on you looking at it is that maybe the weight you're giving to that is greater than you should be giving it. But I don't know. Hearing it doesn't seem like I can even grasp entirely what it is you're involved in.
Yeah, I assure you, you cannot. However, what I really want, what I was really hoping for, and then I'll show him that book.
Yeah.
And I'll explain to him that this book is cursed, and I had to use sorcery because just possessing it puts me in danger. And I was hoping in the dark recesses of ancient Catholic teachings, you had some knowledge of some prayer, some ritual that could protect me from this curse.
We do have many blessings we could give.
Yes, bless.
I
Can
can
you
bless the
me,
book
Father?
and you if you wish.
Yes, please.
But I will need your best effort not to lose yourself in this. The trickeries of the devil are a maze. So keep your eyes on God, and I will give you the blessing, which he does. He does some sort of Latin chant on the book itself, something that you've kind of seen just a little bit when they do like house blessings, when you move into a new house, that sort of stuff. But then he gives you a blessing in English just on you, and sprinkles some holy water on you. And he tells you to go with God.
It was really Glunda fluid.
That's all holy water.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll thank him and I'll do the cross thing and I'll stand up to leave. But then a thought occurs to me and I'll turn back and say, Father, how good is your Latin? I mean, that's what they learn in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Would you say it's better than a 50 of 100?
I would say that. They hold us to a high standard.
Okay.
Especially to belong to this parish. They don't just throw any old priest down here.
Okay. Well, thank you, Father. Good evening.
Could you help me with the...
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, no, I might be that might be putting a bit much on him in one go. So, but
and if you also
what
that
Lamar's
additional
for.
detail, since you've been kind of paying attention to it, there's these this web of time that you see. You've been paying attention to how it's affected by you, and you see that dimming as you're talking to him. And you've kind of come to the conclusion that this is a proximity to you or the book you're carrying.
yeah.
And that happens as well,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of in the back of your head. And there's no effect that you can see when the blessing is done on the book, at least not immediately.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay. And what's his name, Father? What?
Singleton.
Okay. So yeah, after that, then I'll take his advice to heart as much as I can, and I'll go back home and do some more studying.
Yeah. Okay. So on to the condo of the younger Merriweather,
Yeah.
where Mr. Monroe sits there trying to sort out which of the realities is true.
Mm-hmm.
And, you had that where you saw that effect on the body of Larkin, which kind of tilted you one way. Like, that was a weird thing to see in reality. But okay, so you've been left with a few fading memories of these personas inside your head, and this is sort of a new revelation that has come about because you're getting these images, and you're kind of thinking about the nature of how you learned that spell. Like, first it was imposed on you by Father, and then you kind of understood while it was fading that if you took certain symbols and certain ways of talking, then you could replicate it. But the symbols you didn't understood. You almost kind of intuited them at that time. Something you wouldn't have been able to replicate now. It was part of being so closely bonded with Father at one time. But you do know as an occultist that symbols have a wide variety of meaning. That's like it's knowledge condensed, basically. Thousands of years of knowledge condensed into this one symbol, and the thought you're coming to, and how you have these personas in your head, is that when you connected with their mind, you made such a perfect carbon copy of it in your own that it kind of left the after image of their personality of that person in that time and place. Okay. And really what you're doing is like closer to understanding physics so completely that when you move a cue ball around a pool table, you can predict where it's going to go. So because you know that person so well, you can say the right things, you can nudge the right facts in their mind to basically just predict the course if you have the right stimuli.
Hear that, Whitman? I know what you're doing before you do.
At that time, he's changed true. Now, so that's why you have to kind of refresh it. But so you're kind of understanding how that's working, and you're losing the image of the conquistador, of Whitmire, of the being as father, now kind of bound up with this Black Pharaoh persona that came out in this image. But you can go ahead and give me a Cthulhu Mythos roll with a bonus die.
All right. Cthulhu Mythos. Just one bonus?
Yes. Well, you would put 2, though, for rolling bonus.
Okay.
Nope. But
And I can't buy it?
Yeah, you can use luck on Mythos if you want.
All right. Yeah, I'll spend the 17 to buy that one.
What is it? You don't get the check, though, with buying it, or do you?
Well, Mythos doesn't even go up that way, so you grab a hold of that Black Pharaoh persona, father persona, before it fully flees, and you're like trying to gaze at all those memories that you had captured, and you remember through father the beggar in the cave on the mountainside from the story in the De Vermis Mysterious.
Okay.
You remember the bargain struck there and your ascension, although unlike the story, the servant didn't fall to his death, and it wasn't a servant, it was many servants purposely put to death, sacrificed because you were trying to gain that power. You remember being just a man with ambition, perhaps greater than others at one point, and you recall stories of a wise people from a time before a great cataclysm in the Nile Valley who tried to pass on wonderful technologies to the people of the Nile Valley. That would be your ancestors. You don't know where they came from. They were men, but the stories said they were they were higher minded. But time was too cruel and short, and they were unable to teach what they knew. Nevertheless, they left something. They were entities that could absorb knowledge from the progenitors and pass it on to a select few. But where these entities were bound, how they were kept, what they even looked like was kind of lost to the vagaries of time. But you had heard them. It was a strong oral tradition in your family to pass on this story of the progenitor people that lived before a cataclysm. It was a flood myth, basically, that they had lived through. But so you always sought out this dark power. You had a few scraps and bits as where they might be located, and you did find it one day. And so, like I said, you remember making that deal, and your symbiosis with the entity when you found it that spoke as the beggar, but spoke with plural, pronouns and stuff. And one thing the story did get right is that there were multiple of these encased arthropod-like creatures in there, and you were only able to interact with the one, and they closed out. The rest of them closed off to you. You couldn't replicate the same ceremony as you did for the first time, but they did bestow upon you great knowledge, great ability, but also an overriding force to seek something, and you dreamt about it. And it was, for many long years, you would dream about it without knowing what it was. But in accessing the memory of that dream, that it was the artifact that you know as the shining trapezohedron.
Okay.
But then the father persona slips back into the subconscious. And there you are, mostly whole and hale, although shaky, because like I said, you're in a state of underlying insanity. Any further sanity loss will throw you back into the deep end. But now you're in this reality, and Glover's I guess you were just sitting there.
Yeah.
Glover's kind of going around making sure everything looks legit because he knows Detective Bell's on his way down probably as you're speaking. But yeah, so I'll
Probably
release
puffing.
it to the two of you there now.
I'm puffing on my cigar like a train going down the tracks right now, looking over everything. I think I left my gun in Meriwether's hand. I think I'm going to take it back. I think the story's going to be that I shot Larkin because I already got the powder on my hands. Meriwether tried to take the gun from me, and I just clocked him. That's what I'm going to go with now. And I'll kind of maybe keeping an eye on him. You know, like maybe like mid-sentence, maybe you come back, and I'm like, all you got to do is say you saw nothing. The gun was pointing to your face. You kind of blacked out. Happens all the time.
So you said I do kind of vaguely remember through these other personas what had happened.
You have the sense of being like them.
Okay.
You have way less information as far as it comes to the narrative of what happened while you were gone, you know?
Okay.
You just kind of have the emotional connection to what they were thinking and feeling while that was going on. So you don't have like a movie reel of what happened. That's very murky.
But got some slight impressions mixed with, my flashes of coming to with the sword in my hand.
Right, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I'm still just going to be kind of dazed and staring at you. Whatever you say. Whatever you say.
Get your act together, Whitmire.
I'm not Whitmire. Why do you keep calling me Whitmire?
Ah, you're back, huh? About dang time. Just stick with the story. Last thing you really remember was a gun stuck in your face. You panicked. It's believable enough.
That is the last thing I remember.
There you go. Perfect. I'll do the talking. All right?
All right.
Cops are on the way.
All right.
So, Glover, you got a couple of options here for how we can figure out how good you are at concealing the evidence without actually having to think of everything. So you can use your law skill, but you can also use stealth, whichever one you prefer.
They're so close together. Stealth is 65, law is 62. I think I might stealth it, right? It's a cover-up.
Right.
I mean, law I think I'd use if I'm just going to try to essentially talk my way out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think I'll try stealthing it. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Hard
Nice.
success.
One of the things I am going to do is kind of pull his robe back up. Not tighten it or anything because we did struggle, but got to hide those bite marks.
And with that hard success, you actually think of a better thought when it comes to Monroe just sticking to a story, which he should also do. But before he even says anything, he should get in touch with his lawyer. Like, that blocks a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as the lawyer shows up, it's not a fun time for you as a detective, right? You know?
I still like the idea of him just sticking with not remembering anything, but
Yeah, I mean, that could be part of it, but it's...
you bring up a good point there. So after I'm off the phone, all right, Monroe, you got a lawyer? Because you probably should get one.
I have one that's helped me with some business-related affairs. They're not really much of a criminal lawyer, though.
I'll gesture to the phone. Don't say anything about what's going on up here. Operators, they listen in.
Do I need to have my lawyer meet us at the police station, or?
What do I think on that? Here might be better.
That's probably where they would end up meeting you.
Yeah. Well, they're probably going to end up meeting you at the station. But
All right.
If you get taken in. Depends.
Yeah, I'll call him. Yeah, yes. Of course. That makes sense, yes.
good act you got going on there, Monroe.
Is this James Clark you're thinking of? Or some other lawyer?
No, it would have been, just somebody that I had help me set up.
Do your
stuff
business stuff?
Go through my business
Then,
work. Perhaps even, what's his name?
Howard Jenkins?
Yeah, Jenkins.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, then I think I'll maybe pour myself a drink and sit down in a chair and smoke at that cigar like it's going out of style.
But like as I come to, I'm like, what's going on with Larkin is gonna bother me more and more because, like you said, like I can sort of see a disjointed reality there. So I'm gonna kind of stand up and then go squat next to it and kind of just
Make sure you don't touch anything.
So you can discover all of those things that I described last episode as far as how the physics weren't quite right. You know, like he looked dead even when he was alive, but with the wounds, it looks like he should be dead. The problem is he's still like warm to the touch, even though you don't detect any breathing, anything like that. And that effect you saw on him was sort of the fading understanding of Father. So as Father's persona departed, so too did your ability to see that part of it. But you think that it still must be there. It's just shifted to or your perception came down from a plane that you can no longer see into or something, right? But you think the effect is ongoing, whatever is happening.
Could I do like a power or a Cthulhu Mythos roll to see if I can capture what he had done?
Yeah, you could do Mythos or Extreme Power roll.
Let's see. I think the Extreme Power roll is probably my better. No, not even close. Yeah, 89 versus 18, so.
Yeah, you did, because it's kind of the same process you did with Father's ability. But when you try to take a closer look, for lack of a better word, it's a lot more complex than what you had dealt with previously. And just even looking at it makes it kind of impossible to do it again, at least right now. So it kind of gives you a slight fuzzy brain.
Like it was made up on the spot.
Right.
But yeah, I'm also going to be kind of looking at his person, see if he has anything on him that's obvious, that might, I don't know, either be useful for us or...
Well, he has, his wallet, which has a few different stubs in it for like local transportation, and then a train stub from like New York down to here, as well as a few folded bills, but nothing else really of interest. Right? Okay.
Yeah, no like scraps of parchment or books or anything like that.
This is what you need to do next. No, nothing like that. He did have like kind of a little black book with a few names in it, most of which you don't recognize. There's one that you did recognize.
I'm not going to be actually going through anything. I'm just kind of looking. See
if it's there.
Yeah, see what he has in his pockets, and if from like without touching it, because I'm going to follow his orders of don't touch the body. Yeah.
So this is just kind of visual examination. So yeah, you just see that he has a wallet, and you can see that there's a ticket and like a bill that's visible from without touching it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll also exclaim, it's like he's frozen.
I'll kind of have my hand like over my eye, like rubbing my forehead, and I'll kind of lift up some fingers and look at him.
Like
he's dead. Yeah, of course he ain't moving.
I know, but like Merriweather, he's dead and not moving. Larkin, even his clothes are frozen in like mid motion.
I'll give the corpse another look over, see if Monroe's pointing anything out that makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious when it's pointed out to you that there's just they are subtle in a way, but there's a few odd things, like just the fact that he's warm but looks dead and there's no breath, right? And you might know enough to check for a pulse, given that I'm not sure when that came about, but in any case, you're not getting a pulse either, right? But those are the kinds of things you picked up. Like blood is
pooling weird.
It's not even pooling anymore, right? It's like if there's like a bead that was rolling a particular way, it's just stopped there.
I'll look away and finish my drink and just shit down, Monroe. It's been a long day.
Yeah. It's been a strange day. Yeah, but I'm gonna feel a need to be moving as well, with things. So I'm gonna be kind of pacing around the room a little bit. Maybe to try and distract my mind, go and look at any books he has on his library or anything like that. Yeah. And just kind of
pour yourself a drink. It'll help.
No, I need my head clear right now.
Yeah, so you see the evidence of a rather unremarkable college career in law, and then his interest in law. So he has, a library of various books on different components of law. and then his interests from high school, like so he had those foils, that sort of stuff, but nothing that seems relevant. And it's during all this pacing, it takes kind of a long time for Detective Bell to finally arrive, but he is the first one there, He just walks into the scene and he catches your eye, Glover, and he's like, the patrol cops are getting the neighbors' information. So what happened here, Glover?
We walked in. Perp number 1, I'll point to Larkin's body, drew a gun on us shortly after we came in. We were invited in by Merriweather Jr. over there. We came to see him about a property dispute. And anyway, introduces that man as Larkin, and he had a gun on us. Seemed to be more focused on Monroe, and looked like at some point he became very agitated and was going to shoot. So I got my gun out and I shot him first, and it set Merriweather off something fierce, and he started attacking me, and I was forced to defend myself against him. That's the long and short of it.
Jeez, Glover, you got that hearing coming up.
I know. And I was hoping that we could tidy this all up pretty quick.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Let me walk around a little bit and we'll talk about it some more.
Well, I'll put my gun on a nearby table or something like that and walk away from it, go let him do his investigation.
Yeah, so he's got his toothpick in the corner of the mouth, and he kind of looks at, he mostly just does like a lot of looking without touching, and he gets different angles on how Merriweather's laying, kind of look. You just have that when like the guilty sort of thing. You think you're reading too much into it, but really you might calm yourself by thinking, well, I do the same thing, Just...
I also think that I might actually be able to beat this on a fair trial.
Yeah. But he spends, I don't know, maybe 30 long minutes looking it all over before he comes up back to you, and he's like, well, seems to fit. Now, I don't want to say I told you so, but can't help it. Mr. Monroe's over there.
Yep. That he is.
Here you are.
And here I am.
Amidst a mess.
One up to the old chin, I'd say, yeah.
Well, I'm finding what you're saying. I don't think my guys are going to find any that heard anything different in the apartments. But Monroe's going to say the same thing you're saying? No problem there?
Talk to him.
You need to probably get in touch with the representative there and let him know what's going on. Also get in touch with Terry, let him know what's going on. That's probably your next move, but I'll go talk to Monroe.
All right. I'll leave the room and go find a phone, maybe front desk.
Yeah.
Go schedule a meeting with Terry.
So, Mr. Monroe, is it?
I'm going to have that 1,000-yard stare kind of thing going, but I'll shake my head. Yeah, yes.
So, what happened here?
We came to talk to Mr. Merriweather. He's contesting, well, I guess not longer, but he was contesting property settlement. We inherited a piece of property from his father, and he was disputing that. And so I had hoped that, by bringing Detective Glover with me, that we could find an amicable midway point where if there was something on the property or something special about the property for him, that we could come to terms over it rather than having to draw out a long legal battle. But once we got here, Mr. Larkin here drew a gun on me. I haven't seen him since Peru, but he drew the gun on me, and I went to go sit down, and then he looked like he was about to fire, and everything just kind of went black. I have little flashes of gun going off, and then Glover and Merriweather fighting, and then the next thing I know, Merriweather's dead, and Larkin's on the floor as well, and yeah, I really don't remember much of what actually happened in the fight.
So you said you knew Larkin. You haven't seen him since Peru, so you knew him professionally?
Yes, we had an expedition funded by Mr. Merriweather's father, along with Mr. Larkin to go and recover some Peruvian artifacts. And on the way back, many of them were stolen from what we had tried to ship back. And Mr. Larkin refused to believe that I didn't know where those pieces had disappeared to. He seemed very upset about them.
Give me a psychology roll.
Success.
Nice. Yeah, you can see he asks you kind of a series of questions that are still sort of related to the case, but they're like angling in another direction almost, right? Like there's something else he wants to ask about, but he's not really willing to show his hand yet, you know, but he's kind of trying to get like your placement in Boston. Like, what are you here for? That sort of stuff, you know. Do you reside in Boston?
I'll pull out a flyer.
How'd you guys all meet?
Careful reaching.
But yeah, I'll say, yeah, I have my museum here, and that's part of the reason why I was on that Peruvian expedition, was to get artifacts for it.
It has a single droplet of blood on it, but yeah, you pass it off to him.
Does he?
Is it my own blood?
No, you're not sure how it got there. Probably when you were maybe standing close to Merriweather getting beat.
Or when I shot Larkin.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was when Whitmire was trying to find a gun and he brought it out, something blood on it. Yeah, so you can tell he's trying to angle elsewhere. He's just not, there's something, you're not sure what he's getting at, but it seems like it's at a different level than just what happened in this room. But he stops the line of questioning and he says, well, I got to go over all the scene here, and I have a lot more questions for you, so I'm going to need you to head down to the station. And by this point, you know, the other cop, the patrol officers came in, and, you know, they're doing different stuff, which I think from what I remember reading in the modern era, they would be like walking everywhere and stuff, right? So, but they do the thing where they start putting down like the little tents for things they mark as evidence.
Chalk.
Yeah. And the good old chalk outline. So yeah, they're like, you can get a ride with Officer, go to my name list, Gillespie here. He'll take you down to the station, and I have a bunch more questions for you. If everything goes all right, you should be out, you know, not too much longer. Hopefully no later than tomorrow morning.
All right, if you don't mind, I'd kind of like to call my lawyer and have him meet me down there to keep me aware of what my rights are.
Oh, Mr. Monroe, I don't think that'll be necessary.
Well, I appreciate
You're not
that.
under arrest or anything. We're just trying to figure this thing out.
Still, I don't want to be put in any position where I am incriminated in some way for something I didn't do.
Well, that's your prerogative, but I am going to say it could draw things out, but I'll leave it in your hands.
All right.
Anyhow, if you'll go with Gillespie there.
Yeah, I'm going to ask if I can make a stop and make a phone
I think
call.
you had already...
Like I'd called him and told him that I may need him to come down.
Okay.
But
so you want to verify it? Yeah, they let you make that call before, because they don't cuff you or anything like that. So you're able to contact your lawyer. So for your part, Glover, what we're going to do is put a social roll on all the talking that goes on as well through that. This is just the detectives read on you, so you can pick the one of your choice. Get pull rank, start intimidating them.
What is it? Charm 65, Persuade 63, where's Intimidate 65. Yeah, I think I'll just try to charm, right?
Okay.
I think like as Monroe's coming down to the front desk, I'll be there, one ear on the phone, waiting for Terry.
Right.
But I'm talking to like the cops around me kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So how's the kid, Joey? You know, like, and so yeah, like these guys know me, and I'm just gonna hope they look the other way.
It's a day at the office. It's not the first time you've made small talk around a corpse.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Success.
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, so you got after a little while, you're reasonably certain that everybody's buying it, including Detective Bell. You're not sure, though. He does keep looking at you a little weird, but it could be he's still trying to figure out what the Monroe angle is, because after all, you already talked to him about that, and he's a little concerned about those guys, him and Dr. Andrews.
Doesn't help I promised him a pile of corpses.
Right.
It looks like he's starting to get
Yeah.
it one piece at a time.
But it does take a while. Like you're there for hours, and just while they go over the scene. But he comes back at some point, and while you're not near the ear of any of the patrol officers or the people gathering evidence, and he says, "Hey, about that hearing. This isn't like a gangster was gunned down. This guy looks like he comes from money, So about that thing we talked about earlier on Wednesday."
Mm.
If you can, I think you're just gonna have to act like you don't know anything about it, because I don't think you can be attached to more. You know what I'm saying? At least maybe you don't care. Maybe the truth is truth. That's something I would expect to hear from Nichols, but but I'm just saying, maybe you just let that one slide. I don't know who you were with, but if you can just pretend like you never saw anything like that, because if we go forward on Wednesday with a bunch more bodies and this, I don't know how it's going to look.
I never planned to be involved with the upcoming thing on Wednesday. That's all you.
Okay.
Thanks to anonymous tip and
Yeah.
your fine detective work.
Yeah, I guess we could run it that way.
We could, yeah. I mean, I'll leave it up to you. Your discretion on this one if you want.
Okay, give me a psychology roll.
Psychology?
Yeah.
Push it, read them wrong.
Right.
I get the, who should I? Always push. No! All right. So, yeah, I'm reading them wrong. What am I reading?
So he's like, he says, "Yeah, you're right. We can run it that way, and I'm sure it's all going to work out for you.
Yeah.
This looks pretty cut and dried. So, I don't know what Terry's going to have for you. So you might as well go home and get a moment while you can. I'm sure they're going to call you in momentarily, but he just gives you a wink at the end of it that just hits you the absolute wrong way, because he's a sharp guy. I mean, and you're not playing necessarily a simple ruse on them. You stuck pretty close to the truth that was in your favor, but you do not like the wink that he gave you,
All right.
because he's like, and steer clear of Monroe and Andrews, maybe you shouldn't associate while this is all going on.
I'll shake his hand, be like, thanks, looking out. And I'll give him my signature kind of squint back. You have a good rest of your day. Hopefully I'll get out of here soon.
Yeah. All right. So we'll leave off with Glover, although you can briefly say what your plan was. Was it just to go home or?
No, I'm going to head over to Monroe's Curioso unless I am able to spot or feel something that I'm potentially being tailed.
Yeah, you don't see anything like that. Although you maybe half expected it given that odd behavior right at the tail end there from Detective Bell, but nobody's following you as far as you can tell. And you can make your way over to the Curioso. But that's where we'll leave off with Glover for now, and we'll head back over to Mr. Whitmire. So you've just left the basement. Joe Johnston doesn't give you any odd vibes when you're walking up the stairs. He just wishes you a good night. Of course, you might not expect him to be in on anything hinky if that were the case, because he's just the door guy. But leaving the basement, where do you plan to go from there, Mr. Whitmire?
So I'm gonna catch a cab as fast as I can, and then
Okay.
kind of roundabout to a safe house, and just make sure I'm not being followed. I also need to send some telegrams too. So after I make sure that I'm not followed, I'm gonna go and rent a hotel room that at least upscale enough place that I'd have access to be able to send some messages.
Yeah, you definitely got the money for it, and you don't see anybody following you. Your read on the situation is that they bought that you fully expect to be there on Tuesday. So
Did they give me the place that I'm supposed to go, or they want me to go?
we'll say it was just to meet back there at the basement on Tuesday, and then they'll all head down together, which is kind of part of what, as you're thinking about it, you're like, is there even a job that fits this description, given that Drew tipped you off to there being, a number on your head. If some of his guys are going to make a move, then they're going to want to know, if they got to dispose of you or something like that, they need to know where your evidence of you is going to be. Is kind of what you're thinking. But they don't send anybody on your tail, and you're able to find, a nice hotel. You're able to afford them a little swankier these days, that you can send off telegrams from the hotel.
I'd like to send some telegrams to some of my boys in New York
Okay.
that need about 10 to 15 strong arms down in Boston, or over in Boston.
Okay.
And then
All right,
also,
so
I'll send a telegram to Andrews as well, and Monroe shop, saying that I had an emergency and had to leave town for a couple days. But I should be back by the end of the week.
Call that one the Whitmire. Where were you receiving your telegrams, Dr. Andrews? Your home, which is where you were going.
Yeah.
So yeah, at some point when you get back, I think you said you had planned to just do a little bit more research while at home.
Yeah.
You do receive that telegram or a notification from the desk to the building your apartment's in, saying you have a message downstairs.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go check it.
Yeah, it ends up being from Whitmire, saying he had left town for a few days. He'd be back by the end of the week.
And that's it.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Have to find my own cerebrospinal fluid.
Don't worry, you'll be swimming in bodies soon. If everything works out.
Whitmire's got to start a mob war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you get to that hotel, you're just going to lay low there then for the rest of the night?
Yeah, as
Okay.
I'll read my book.
Put another night on there for you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then that follows on to Dr. Andrews, who you have that telegram now, and what's your take on that? That you're just going to have to find your own body?
Yeah, I mean, he says a few days.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I'll have to open up some other avenues.
Right. Well, you had discussed with Dr. Call, you could maybe go through the legal means of obtaining a cadaver for research, which are a lot less restrictive than they would be now,
Yeah.
So it's not outside of the realm of possibility. You just would have to work some connections and pay a little bit of money.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll try that.
Okay.
I mean, it was probably late now.
Yeah. Sunday night. So
Yeah. So,
best save for the morning.
yeah.
So what did you want to do with the rest of your evening?
So I'll do some more reading on the,
Dave Vermis Mysterio.
well, no,
the other one.
I'll read the medical journal.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got
Yeah.
work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you do it tonight, then you can knock off your need to do it tomorrow morning to spend a fraction of your morning on that.
Okay.
So,
Who's getting distracted and off course now?
all right, so that brings us back around to Detective Jack Glover, who was making his way to Monroe's Curioso. Of course, he's not going to be there because, at least, you don't think so.
Well, I was hoping to encounter Andrews or Whitmire.
Yeah. So it is when you get there, because he's a pagan. His establishment is open late on Sunday, I would imagine.
As long as I can keep Anita there to
Right. Yeah. She'll work. She'll work for you. So yeah, you just have, nobody's there though, on a Sunday night. So she's just, going around dusting things currently, trying to occupy herself on a slow night when you walk through the doors.
I'll be kind of winded, and I'll pause to take a nice long puff on my cigar and correct my hat to its skewed position on my head. Seems like it's going to fall off. Anita, right?
Yeah.
Good to see you. You haven't happened to see Dr. Andrews or Mr. Whitmire stop by today?
I don't believe I've seen either of them all day. Trying to remember.
I know.
Sometimes a day feels like weeks to me.
At this exciting establishment?
But no, I don't believe he was in here all day. I don't think he planned to be. He had mentioned something, yesterday about being at the library or a library and not to expect him. He has been getting messages, though, so...
Could I perhaps see him? You saw me around him all the time. You know, we're like bosom buddies.
Let's see if he'll charm your way back, because she thinks about it again. She's like, I guess that would be private, but... Well, yeah, I mean, ordinarily I would say no, but you being a police officer, detective and all, yeah, I'm sure it's on the level. So yeah, you have like a collection of like business related ones, you know, he's like trying to acquire artifacts from different places.
You're a real sweetheart, Anita. You remind me of my daughter. She's smart and beautiful like you.
Oh, she blushes. But you see, the pertinent one is the one from Whitmire that says he left town for a few days. It came in just a little while ago.
Do I think that might cause problems? Do I think that they're probably not going to search here? So I'll be kind of like squinting at this message while I'm thinking this over here.
Well, it's sort of one of those things where you're shocked but not shocked, given the little you know about Whitmire. You know, he had that sort of vibe that you might just, but you don't know what he was doing. While you were in Monroe.
I'm not worried about what he's doing. I'm worried about how it's going to look.
Oh, you don't think it
catch a body and then Whitmire goes out of town
and disappears? Yeah,
with Belle, no one else. I'm worried about this looking to Belle if Belle decides to search here.
Well, if you recall, Belle wasn't even aware that Whitmire was in the equation until you mentioned it, right? So, but it wasn't, the context in which you mentioned it was that you just went to go look at this place, right? So he doesn't really know, and Whitmire wasn't at the scene, obviously. So you think you'll be all right, but you don't know.
Anita, is it all right if I take this one? I'll pass it to her. You can commit that one to memory. It's extremely easy. I just want to take that one.
Oh, yeah, I don't see that'd be a problem. I'll just tell Monroe directly. You know, Whitmire, he sleeps in here sometimes. Scared the bejesus out of me when I came in one morning. He crawled down from the storage racks in the back like he lives there.
What a kooky fella.
Yeah, he is an odd one. I can figure out how Andrews and Monroe sort of connect, and I can figure out you, but I don't know how Whitmire, like... Why does he hang out with Monroe? Why are they friends, apparently? I don't know.
I've been asking myself that same question. And you don't have any insight? They don't... Yeah. Are they even friendly to each other behind closed doors?
It seemingly.
I don't know if you want to lock up, but unfortunately, Monroe ran into a little bit of trouble and is currently down at the station. He'll probably be released in the morning. So I'd suggest you close up shop.
What kind of trouble?
I'll let him explain that to you. I barely know myself.
Well, he does have a knack for that.
But don't worry. He's contacted his lawyer. He's got a good head on his shoulders. If only he could just keep from talking.
That is his chief problem, I've found.
So I'll hand the other telegrams back to her and then take the one.
Okay.
I gotta get home. Wife's cooking is probably already turned cold. She's going to give me a tongue lashing.
All right. And so you head home from that point with that telegram that Whitmire had sent.
Throw it away at some point along the way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So are you truly heading home now for to call it an evening?
And I'll end the day by staring into a pot of probably some sort of quick oats.
Right. All right, Lance. So you've been taken to the police station.
You're going to jail.
Where you were left to sit in a room, not at all comfortable, for a couple of hours. You know, they were nice enough to give you a cup of coffee that was hot, but probably brewed hours and hours ago, if you wish.
In the morning.
Or water is your other choice. And the first person you see outside from the police officer that led you in the room and sat you in there, they don't restrain you or anything, but you do note that when he leaves the room, the door is locked, right? Mm-hmm. But eventually you hear the sound of the door opening and in comes your personal lawyer. We'll say his name is Trevor Fitzpatrick. and he does not play in the leagues of like James Clark, so his suit is a little shabby, in need of a dry cleaning, or probably in need of a whole new suit. And you can see that shirt was probably bought a few years before he grew the belly that he's currently sort of has to contend with,
Mm-hmm.
But he sits down, he has a briefcase, and he's like, Mr. Monroe, I didn't get many details. What's going on here? What can you tell me?
Well, I probably would have already mentioned, like we'd inherited some stuff and to him just through business dealings. Even though it's only been a few days, I probably mentioned something to him. But I'll say that Meriwether's son was kind of contesting it. We went there to see if we could come to an amicable solution. And an old business acquaintance from Peru was at his house and drew a gun, saying that I had stolen something from him, that he wanted it back. One of the artifacts that had come from Peru, but the artifact that he had wanted had been stolen while being shipped back to America at some point. I was in the process of telling him that we could work together to find them, and then I kind of blacked out when it looked like he was about to shoot me, and then I just remember flashes of gunfire and Meriwether and Glover fighting, and then the next thing I know, I was sitting in a chair and there were two bodies in the room.
This is a bit of a different problem than I'm used to dealing with,
Yes,
Mr. Monroe.
I have great faith in you, which is why you've been my lawyer for many years. You've never steered me wrong, and I believe it.
You
And
only
also,
pay me in
you
flyers.
can afford my rates.
Yeah.
He's like, well, from what you describe, I have a lot of follow-on questions about how you're involved with artifact smuggling, or are you? Is there an artifact that this guy was looking for? Or is he mistaken?
Yes, there was an artifact that was supposed to come back with the rest of the pieces that are now in my collection. There were actually quite a few artifacts that were stolen on the way back, but there seemed to be one in particular that he was very upset about.
Were we smuggling artifacts back, or was it above board for the U.S. side?
Yeah, I think you got him in legally. There wasn't too much problem. It was just that one that was...
Yeah, and I think Whitmire took illegal means from that, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just keying on the phrasing that Monroe was using.
Yeah.
But, I like that stick to that blackout you don't recall. If you're not sure about something, better to err on the side of caution and just say you don't remember, like try not to give vague answers. If what you recall is vague, then just be like, just say you can't clearly recall what happened.
Okay. All right.
When it comes to that, if you're clear on it, everything you've told me, I think you're okay to talk to him about.
See, my boy, you're doing wonderfully. This is wonderful advice. Thank you.
Well, this is the easy part. Now it actually has to go into effect, which and he kind of pulls at his collar. He's sweating, and it's not really hot in the room. At least not hotter than normal for August, which it is hot. But yeah, he's really sweating there. But so you're left with him, and he kind of goes over it again and again with you and sees if there's anything that kind of comes out weird to him.
Okay. Can I do any kind of skill checks to kind of bolster his confidence as...
Persuade to encourage.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Charm to give him false courage.
So I'll do a persuade and try and persuade him that he's a much better lawyer than he really is. So, yeah.
That gift of gab.
Yep. So every time he gives me a piece of advice, I'll praise him and say, I wouldn't have thought of that myself.
Right.
That's the type of thing they don't teach in law school.
Yeah.
That's pure talent right there.
Yeah. So I'll be talking him up the whole time.
Yeah, and you have like some anecdotes to draw on about really minor legal problems that he solved for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, you remember when, you
This is like
smooth
the
that out
time
for me. It's
That
just
time
like
I
that.
got it for like defacing public property, putting up my flyers, and you came in and got that fine.
And you have some sayings of like ancient peoples that are pertinent to it, sort of affirming sayings,
Yeah.
something about how how much of reality is just a mind game, but in a little bit more
Yeah.
occult bent on it. It's like mind over matter, right? It seems bigger. Same problem though, right? Just keep it there, right? But all in that flowery Monroe
Yeah.
ability. But yeah, you have him feeling much better and he stops sweating so profusely. But eventually, Detective Bell comes in with another police officer that you haven't seen yet, and they sit down across from you and, start questioning you. The other guy is the one who starts doing most of the questions initially, and he says that, I just had it. Oh, he says his name's Detective Kennedy.
Okay.
So...
Does Monroe recognize a similar look in Bell's stature, like the scrutinizing type look that he might have seen?
Yeah, Detective Kennedy looks bored, like he's filing paperwork right now. So he's kind of answering questions you've already answered a couple times, both to Bell and your lawyer. Bell, on the other hand, is giving you a pretty piercing look, just chewing on that toothpick of his, and at some point, he's like, Kennedy, why don't you go get those papers I was talking about, and I'll take it from here, And so Kennedy gets up. He kind of gives you a sideways glance, and then Bell, you're just left in the room with Bell and your lawyer, right? And he asks you, where were you on the night of June 20th?
June 20th.
Yeah, your lawyer actually interjects at that point, and he's like, June 20th, what bearing does that have on this?
So, I'll have been going into the kind of that pensive June 20th. What was it?
Well, you can roll an intelligence roll
June
for me.
20th. There. Okay.
Yeah, so just the date back kind of throws you and you're drawing a blank for a minute, but then when you think about it, you're like, oh, okay, that really brings it into stark relief because that was the day after you survived the attack from the dimensional shambler.
Okay.
So once you realize that, you're like, oh yeah, so it's a close call. So everything was kind of vibrant for a little bit after that day because that thing held you in its grip and somehow you wriggled out. But yeah, you're trying to figure out so you were deeply embroiled in all this investigation and you were dealing with the consortium. Mm-hmm. You were trying to figure out how to stop something from hunting you and the rest of your co-investigators. But you're trying to figure out what else happened that day. Earlier that day before the attack, you and Whitmire had restored Corbett to the house. And all these things that are not normal. You're like, how could this detective, does he know about Corbett or something like that? But he doesn't illuminate anything else. He just asks what you were doing that day.
But yeah, I'll kind of take heed of my lawyer's prompting, and I'd have to check, some of my journal writings, but I'm afraid I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, well, that's fine.
But yes, well, why do you ask?
Oh, no reason. I just had a curiosity, that it fits in with another case, but, if...
I believe at that time we were trying to help exonerate the young Dooley boy from the false accusations against him for murdering his uncle.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, a wonderful young man, by the way. He's been helping Dr. Andrews quite a bit.
I'm sure he is. And Dr. Andrews, who's that?
Oh, he's
Does his lawyer interject?
Yeah, he's like, if we're not going to talk about what happened, Detective Bell, then I think you should release my client. It's been a long day. He clearly needs some rest. Look at his face.
It's a long face.
But yeah, I'll just kind of clam up at that point.
As much as Monroe can.
Yeah. But Detective Bell, he's met Andrews, right? Bell's a part of the...
No, he's not.
Or he's not
that's
a part of
Detective Nichols.
Oh, that's Nichols. That's right.
Yeah. And Terry as well, right?
Yeah, Terry's part of it.
Yeah.
But not Bell.
So
he did meet
now?
Dr. Andrews when you guys came across the body, right?
Okay.
It was very brief, right? And he just got your statements and you went on your way. But he's like, so how do you, who's that? How do you know him?
We're part of an organization together, the Order of the Hermetic Silver Twilight.
Okay.
I know I probably butchered that.
A prestigious gathering fraternity.
Yeah, it's just a gathering of like-minded men that networking and all that.
And were you and Dr. Andrews together on the 20th of June?
I want to play as lawyer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Don't answer that. This has nothing to do with the current case that you're supposed to be questioning my client about, which I might remind you he is taking his Fourth Amendment right? Fifth? I can't remember. Plead the Fifth, yeah. He to remain silent as of right now.
Do you believe I was involved in some crime?
Monroe, please don't answer any more questions. Don't ask any more.
Come on. Let him talk. He has a lot to say, clearly.
No, he has just been through a traumatic experience.
Fine.
I
Fine.
request that you release him.
Fine.
I'll kind of put my hand like on his shoulder.
Am I under arrest?
Now I get the
Not yet.
I get the nature of your relationship with Mr. Merriweather. As I understand it, you were set to inherit some property from that family, and there was contention over that.
You are going to have to stop this line of questioning. Any of your questions.
I just need to know how he knows the victim in this case. I think that's pertinent, lawyer. I have every right to ask that question, and I'm not going to let you guys go until I get those
Allow
answers.
me a moment to confer with my client. And I'll kind of lean over. How do you know, Mr. Merriweather?
Well, like I've mentioned in all of the statements that I put forward,
Ask him how he knows Larkin, too.
Mr. Merriweather had left a piece of property to, several of us that are part of this Order of the Silver Twilight, and his son had contested it. And so we were attempting to speak to him about him contesting it to see if there was a way of amicably coming to some sort of conclusion without having to involve legal matters or anything along those lines.
All right, just give the base answer. What's that? Actually, my client received a piece of property, a small parcel of land from the deceased's father, and they had come into conflict. He was contesting it, and so my client, along with Detective Glover, went down there to see if they could come to a amicable solution to the grievances.
And how did you get connected with Detective Glover? Is that okay?
No. We gave you your answer, and I now again say that if you are not arresting my client, that he demands release.
Oh, for crying out loud. How do you expect this to work? I got to be able to ask him questions. I can hold him a while longer yet. You know that. Were you just going to sit here and look at each other? We're going to play tic-tac-toe? What do you want to do? We all got places to be. Just spit it out, Monroe. Let your client talk.
I've given my statement several times. I don't understand why.
Yeah, that's a good point. He has given his
Yeah.
statement.
You're right. A statement about what happened. I need to know how it's all connected. What were you and Detective Glover doing there? Did you were you angry at Merriweather for contesting this inheritance, and you went to solve the issue, a different way than in the courts?
No. Like I had mentioned several times, we were going there to see if there was a way of amicably, finding a way to resolve any issues that he had with us inheriting this property. I thought maybe that he had spent summers there as a child, or that he had some sort of, knickknacks, or that there was some sort of emotional attachment out there that perhaps we could let him take from the property. We didn't expect to inherit this, and so we were hoping that, we could find a way where he could get what he wants, and it would resolve the problem.
There. Are you happy? Question answered.
He's starting to say something else. You can see he's not happy, but the door to the the interview room opens, and Sergeant Logan Terry sticks his head in, and he says, "Wrap it up, Bell. Let him go. I got to talk to you." And Bell is very disappointed. It's like, fine. Have a good day, Mr. Monroe. Thank you for your cooperation.
I will try to get Monroe out of there before he even has a chance to say goodbye.
Okay.
Gotta get him out on the street, away from this very dangerous detective. Not that I believe my client to be guilty, but
just Monroe's penchant for the gift of gab.
But I'm gonna, like, as he's like hustling me out, I'll be trying to shake Detective Bell's hand. Like reaching out to shake his hand, and
Yeah, and I'll be
But your lawyer has some weight on you because you're pretty thin, right? So he's pulling you away, and you're kind of thrown off balance. So that's whether you fight against that or just follow his very physically directed.
I'll be kind of that half-hearted. As I'm being pulled away, still trying to.
and I think I'll try to override anything that he might want to say with a string of goodbye pleasantries.
So you guys he's hustling you out there. So you pass Tara. He doesn't say anything to you, but he does give you like a pointed look, give me a psychology roll.
Sorry if I stepped on your toes, just
No, you're good.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can see it's a curious combination. It is like he's kind of like alarmed, like what are you doing here? Don't represent us in a bad way, But also at the same time, it's kind of like I pulled you out of that one, right? So get scarce, that kind of look. So
Yeah.
Next time I want Brandon or John to be the lawyer.
But yeah, I'll kind of give him a nod and say, "Officer."
all right.
Sergeant.
So what are your plans from that point?
Yeah, I'll confer with my lawyer, and then just head back to my home.
Your home. And when you get there, Anita does pass on that message. She says Detective Glover came by. He was looking for you or Dr. Andrews.
I was technically looking for, well, I guess it's her memory, so
Yeah.
I was looking for Whitmire or Andrews.
Oh, was it Whitmire? Yeah. And he asked to look through your messages. I didn't think there was any harm in it because, him being a police officer and all. He took one, and I know what it said. It just was from Whitmire. Whitmire said he had to leave town for a few days. He'd be back by the end of the week. But then...
It's not unusual for him, but...
then he left.
Thank you, Anita. Yes, as far as I can tell, Detective Glover is welcome here, and he didn't do anything wrong if you're worried about that.
He said you were at the police station. What happened?
Oh, there was
Misunderstanding.
there's an argument that turned violent that I needed to give a statement on that I was witness to.
So she seems horrified in a completely artificial way. The real thing is that she wants to know more. She's like,
Gossip.
she's like, violent. I hope
Yes.
nobody was hurt too badly.
Oh, yes, and unfortunately, 2 men died.
Who could those 2 men have been?
But yeah, when I say it, I'll go quiet
Okay.
in like a non-Monroe way.
Yeah, that's so shocking to her that she says, well, I think I'll go home for the night if you don't need anything else.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you.
All right. And she leaves and then you go to sleep. Is that what you're going to do? Or lay there with your mind racing?
Racing with power.
Unlimited
Actually,
power of the Black Pharaoh.
no, I'll be. I will be kind of drawn to the Devermis, the mysterious, and with the images of the original bargain that was struck.
Yeah.
With those, start, and some of the other like things that have been kind of popping up in his head as like that was going on. Start looking for ways of protecting myself against both like father taking over again, as well as protecting, like there were things that were mentioned about having a watcher that protects against other spirits and stuff like that. So
right.
I'll like that kind of thing, like finding a way to protect myself and protect us
Yes.
will be something I'll be looking into.
Well, highlighted in the information discovered through that new lens you're looking at it, you see, because you had the Widner copy, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had the Liber Ivanus Widner copy, and then I had the bloodstained copy of the Devermis.
All right. So as far as protections that when it comes to this specific thing, you're just drawn to that pentagram that is included nearby, the one that you or Andrews described being on the floor of that college student,
Yeah.
that in your version, as long as it says you stand outside the circle or you don't enter the innermost part of it, then the entity can't harm you directly.
Okay.
and that's in your copy. But it doesn't speak of any particular ward against that entity.
Okay.
Other than that circle. So
Also, from Meriwether's own journal, he mentioned that he had been designated the watcher who guards for malevolent spirits, and so looking for that portion of the ritual as well.
yeah, unfortunately, in both cases, they're not very clear what the spirits are.
Okay.
But you don't see on rereading it again that Meriwether speaks of taking any special precaution as to how he kept those spirits away or what was entailed in that. That wasn't made up the bulk of his entry. And then when you read the story appears to have been corrupted based off of your memory of what the Black Pharaoh had. It was a more purposeful contact with the entity.
Yeah.
Whereas the story makes it seem like it was almost accidental.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, look for any kind of protection spells or anything like that. Start looking for that.
Yeah. So yeah, you spend your night doing that before, finally exhaustion puts you to sleep or not, or you spend all night if you'd prefer.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time shaking what had happened at Meriwether's. So actually everything that had happened at Meriwether's and like the fake dream back in Peru and all that it's going to be. So yeah, he's probably not going to sleep tonight.
All right. So before we close off today's session, we'll just check in with Whitmire in the morning one more time, see what kind of response he gets from his crew. So the way we'll handle that, Whitmire, is we'll see if your credit rating is great enough to actually have that many guys that can come down and do that kind of work for you. So if you want to pass a credit rating roll for me.
Okay. Extreme success. They got a lot of
They
pullback.
sent extras? Or did they upgrade their weaponry?
What? For the extreme one. No, you have a telegram waiting there in the morning, and it just says the boys are on the way, boss.
All right.
And
I'll stay in this hotel as one more night.
until they get there.
Yeah.
All right. And that's where we'll leave off today's session. Thanks for playing, guys. I'll see you all next time.
All right.
Thank you, man.
So what's the odds this scenario ends in some sort of pitched gun battle in Boston and not dealing with the otherworldly entity? This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.